On June 30, 2025, Japan Airlines Flight JL 8696 departed Shanghai for Tokyo, a routine journey for its 191 passengers. The sun was setting over the bustling runways, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple as the aircraft taxied for takeoff. For most on board, it was just another evening flight, a familiar route connecting two of Asia's busiest cities. The Boeing 737-846, operated by Spring Japan, was just another link between two major cities. Its engines roared to life, lifting the plane smoothly into the night sky, leaving the city lights of Shanghai behind and heading toward the distant glow of Tokyo. Inside the cabin, a gentle buzz filled the air. Quiet conversations, the steady hum of engines, and the soft glow of screens illuminating faces. Some passengers chatted about their day, while others lost themselves in movies or music, headphones cocooning them from the world outside. Flight attendants moved gracefully through the aisles, offering drinks and snacks as the plane climbed to cruising altitude. Their practiced smiles and calm efficiency reassured everyone that all was well and the journey would be smooth. Outside, the world faded into twilight, and many passengers drifted off to sleep, trusting the crew and the machine. The view from the windows was serene, clouds tinged with the last light of day, the earth far below slipping into darkness. For the pilots and crew, it was business as usual, a day like any other. They monitored instruments, checked systems, and exchanged quiet words, confident in their training and the reliability of their aircraft. Passengers thought of families, meetings, or the comfort of home, not of danger. Some gazed out the window, lost in thought, while others read or simply closed their eyes, eager to arrive at their destination. The sense of routine was a testament to the reliability of modern air travel. Decades of innovation and safety had made flights like JL 8696 feel almost mundane, a predictable part of life for millions. No one expected anything out of the ordinary. The atmosphere was peaceful, with only the occasional chime or announcement breaking the quiet. The calm in the cabin was absolute. It was the kind of tranquility that comes from routine, from trust in technology and the people operating it. But that calm was about to be shattered. In an instant, the ordinary would give way to the extraordinary, and the passenger's sense of security would be put to the ultimate test. In moments, this ordinary flight would become a test of survival. The routine would be replaced by chaos and every second would count. The unimaginable was about to unfold, changing the lives of everyone on board forever. The first sign of trouble was a muffled boom, subtle but enough to stir the cabin. At first it was just a faint vibration, a sound that seemed out of place in the otherwise routine hum of flight. Some passengers glanced up, exchanging uncertain looks, while others remained lost in their books or conversations, unaware that everything was about to change. Suddenly the lights flickered, the plane jolted, and yellow oxygen masks dropped from above. The cabin, moments ago filled with quiet chatter, erupted into confusion and alarm. The sudden drop in pressure was almost physical, a force that pressed against eardrums and sent hearts racing. An automated voice urged everyone to put on their masks. The message was calm, but the urgency was unmistakable. Passengers fumbled with the elastic bands, hands shaking as they tried to secure the lifelines over their faces. At 6:53 p.m., the aircraft's pressurization system catastrophically failed at 36,000 feet. Warning lights flashed across the cockpit and alarms blared, signaling a life-threatening emergency. Air began to escape rapidly. The pilots had seconds to react. Every moment counted, as the thin air at that altitude could render everyone unconscious in less than a minute. They initiated an emergency descent, aiming to reach breathable air below 10,000 feet. The nose of the plane dipped sharply, engines roaring as the aircraft dove toward safety. The plane plunged 26,000 feet in just 10 minutes. The descent was so steep, it felt as if gravity itself had taken over, pulling everyone downward in a relentless rush. For passengers it felt like freefall. Loose items flew, the noise was deafening, and fear swept the cabin. The roar of the wind mixed with the cries of panic, creating a chaos that seemed to have no end. Flight attendants, some in tears, shouted instructions trying to maintain order. Their voices cut through the panic, offering guidance and reassurance even as they fought their own fear. The descent was chaos. 10 minutes stretched into an eternity. Every second felt impossibly long, as if time itself had slowed to match the terror in the cabin. The only thought, are we going to crash? Faces were pale, knuckles white, as everyone silently pleaded for the ordeal to end. The oxygen masks were the first shock, the violent plunge the second. Each new jolt reminded everyone how close disaster truly was. The professionalism of the crew was a small beacon amid the chaos. Their calm actions and steady voices offered a fragile sense of hope, a reminder that not all was lost. For those strapped in, there was nothing to do but hold on, every muscle tensed, every breath measured, as they waited for the nightmare to end. The world outside was a blur of clouds and darkness. The familiar view was gone, replaced by a dizzying rush of movement and uncertainty. Survival was all that mattered. In those harrowing minutes, every passenger and crew member was united by a single desperate hope: to see the ground again, and to live to tell the tale. Chaos erupted as passengers awoke to the jarring drop and falling oxygen masks. Fear overtook the cabin. People screamed, cried, and clung to loved ones. The sight of terrified flight attendants made the danger real. This was no drill. As the plane plunged, shock gave way to resignation for some. Passengers typed frantic messages to family, final I love yous, passwords and instructions. Smartphones glowed in trembling hands, each message a desperate attempt to reach loved ones. Between the screams, an eerie silence settled, filled only by the tapping of keys and quiet sobs. Each person was lost in their own thoughts, regrets, and memories. The experience stripped away all pretense, leaving only raw emotion. Love, loss, and the will to survive became the only things that mattered. In those moments, strangers became a community bound by fear. The cabin was transformed into a collection of private worlds, united by crisis. At 36,000 feet, with uncertainty hanging in the air, passengers instinctively reached for their phones, their last fragile link to the world below. In that suspended moment, technology became more than a tool. It was a lifeline, a way to reach out across the miles and say what mattered most. Farewell messages became a final act of control in chaos. I love you, some wrote, their fingers trembling as they typed. Others tried to capture a lifetime of feelings in a few hurried words, hoping their messages would reach loved ones in time. Tell the kids I'm proud, one message read, a simple phrase carrying the weight of a lifetime of memories and unspoken hopes. Others sent practical details. The insurance is in the desk, trying to provide comfort and guidance, even in the face of the unknown. The bank PIN is 1234. These details, mundane in ordinary life, suddenly became vital, a way to ease the burden for those left behind. These were not just words. They were urgent, vital communications, each message a lifeline thrown across the void, a desperate attempt to connect. Sending these details was a final act of care, a way to ease the burden for loved ones and to offer reassurance, even as fear pressed in from all sides. The crisis forced everyone to confront what truly mattered: family, love, and connection. In those moments, nothing else seemed important. Technology offered a fragile link, a chance for a last goodbye, a way to say what might never be said again. In decades past, such moments were isolated. Now, with a single message, they could reach the ground, bridging the gap between sky and earth. For those on the plane, these messages were a way to face the abyss, not entirely alone. They were a testament to the human need for connection, even in the darkest hour. For those who received them, these words would become haunting, precious gifts, reminders of love, courage, and the will to reach out, even in the face of fear. The experience was life-altering, reducing existence to its essence. In that suspended time, priorities shifted and the noise of daily life faded away. The ordeal distilled life down to love and survival, to the people we hold dear and the words we wish we'd said. In the face of mortality, the digital world became a lifeline, a fragile thread connecting hearts, even as the world outside seemed to fall away. In the cockpit, the pilots fought to save everyone on board. After the terrifying descent, they stabilized the plane at a safe altitude. The immediate danger of hypoxia was over, but the emergency was not. The aircraft was damaged and far from Tokyo. The pilots declared an emergency and diverted to Kansai International Airport in Osaka. Air traffic controllers cleared a path. Emergency vehicles lined the runway. Passengers braced for landing, fearing the worst with every shudder. They assumed the brace position, waiting in tense silence. At 8:50 p.m., the plane touched down, smoothly, against all odds. Relief swept the cabin. Tears of terror turned to tears of gratitude. Survivors wept, overwhelmed by disbelief and exhaustion. They had made it. Against all odds, they were safe. Once the plane finally stopped, the ordeal wasn't truly over for anyone on board. Passengers sat in stunned, uneasy silence, surrounded by the debris and remnants of their terror. When allowed to disembark, they were met by emergency staff, not celebration or relief. Miraculously, no major injuries were reported, but the psychological scars ran deep and lasting. Japan Airlines offered 15,000 yen, about $93, and a hotel night for those stranded by the incident. For many, this felt woefully inadequate, barely scratching the surface of their ordeal. How do you even begin to put a price on confronting death so suddenly? The compensation was a corporate gesture, but the trauma would linger far, far longer. The true cost was sleepless nights, haunted thoughts, and memories that refused to fade. With everyone safe, attention turned to understanding what went wrong. Japan's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism launched an investigation. The cause of the pressurization failure had to be found, not just for blame, but to prevent a repeat. Investigators examined maintenance records, black boxes, and every component of the pressurization system. Pilots, crew, and passengers were interviewed for clues. As of July 4th, Japan Airlines remained silent, awaiting official findings. The world watched, anxious for answers. If a faulty part was to blame, it could trigger global inspections. If it was human error, airline procedures would come under scrutiny. The stakes were high, the world demanded accountability. The JL 8696 incident came amid growing scrutiny of Boeing. The company's reputation had already been battered by recent disasters, including a deadly Air India crash just weeks earlier. Two major incidents in quick succession fueled public distrust. The question, are Boeing planes safe? Past tragedies, like the 737 MAX crashes, had already shaken confidence. Each new incident reinforced fears of deeper problems within Boeing. The JL 8696 scare intensified pressure on regulators and the company itself. The world now waits to see if Boeing can restore trust before another tragedy strikes.